What's up, hobby friends, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Now we got some good hobby stuff to talk about, not directly related entirely with miniature painting, although we do have some good mini painting stuff to talk about. It does tie in. It does. I mean, it technically does, but it's like we'll get there. It's fine. We'll get there. But of course, before we get to any of that juicy news, we're gonna see what Brent's been up to doing hobby last couple weeks.
All right. You know what, Casey? I'm gonna start with this. This is something I rarely do because it encourages bad behavior. But I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start by reading you a YouTube comment that I got just minutes ago on this fine Friday night.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
Now, it encourages bad behavior because, like, if people are like, "Oh, if I leave a mean comment, he might read it, and then I'll be a Paint Bravely famous commenter." No.
I mean, that's fair, but at the same time, like Scott does it every year.
Yeah,
he's like a recap of all the terrible things people have said, which probably encourages it, but then gives him like full on, here's this thing that, yeah, I don't know. I think it's funny.
Okay. Now this is minor, but it happened right before we started recording, so I'm gonna read it to you.
Right. Okay.
And again, currently in this moment in time, we are late on a Friday night. Now let me read this comment. Soft feminine narration, multiple cats, long ponytail, nice modern channel. Now,
what?
Oh, I get the occasional attacks on my masculinity from real alpha males out there on the internet.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Of course.
To which I responded, enjoy your Friday night, because I don't know a lot about this person, but I know that at 11 p.m. on a Friday night, they clicked on a video called "How Long Does It Take to Paint a Warhammer Army?" So the manly men coming in here telling me how to live my life. Yeah. I don't know, but
yeah, it is. I love a good bad comment.
Yeah,
because it's like, you really gotta wonder sometimes. I mean, I just have to assume that they're just people who are sitting there and they're just not living their best life,
right?
And they don't have enough time to do anything else other than comment and criticize.
We get a lot of weird comments. Mostly we get positive comments. We get some mean comments. Mm-hmm. I mean, pretty much daily we get mean comments, and mostly I just ignore them and they sink to the bottom, and they'll go off to leave comments elsewhere on the internet. But I like to respond on the weekends. I like to respond with like, hope you're having a great weekend. Or especially a Friday night, you know, if someone's like calling into question my life choices and they're watching, you know, YouTube. I mean, I watch a lot of YouTube videos on Friday nights, but I don't use that time to also make fun of people, like, except for this Friday night.
Is very fair.
They asked for it.
Yeah, that's a little different.
But we're also a couple of weeks out right now from the holidays, and my absolute favorite is getting a mean comment on Christmas, because I can just respond, Merry Christmas, hope you're having a great time with all your loved ones. Like, just nice and neat and friendly, and also like, what are you doing right now? But anyway, that's...
like the middle of the afternoon on a pretty big holiday for most people. Like, sure. So, yeah. I mean, it's pretty funny. I think I got one that I may have said. I think I got one in this year.
Okay.
Which is a little low, you know. It's a little low, but that's probably a good thing. You know, it's not like we want people to be commenting on Christmas, be like, your face looks stupid.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be doing this. Okay.
Ideally,
Merry
people
Christmas.
are spending the holidays with loved ones, and if not, they're getting some time to relax and watch some YouTube videos that make them happy instead of, you know, sad and angry and upset. But anyway, that's a little bit of what's going on in my life here. Got my Adepticon badge the other day. I'll be going there. I see that you got one of them too.
I did. In fact, I snagged the very last upgraded badge. The very last one. There was one left on the counter, and I clicked it, and there was 0 left.
This very important gamer over here gonna get a swag bag.
It's just, I know that somebody else was probably doing it at the same time, going, there's only one left. And then they're disappointed. I just want to let you know that I am the reason for your disappointment. Yeah, but I did secure the badge. I feel pretty good.
Yeah, if you're the person who had it in the cart and hit checkout and it didn't go through, and all of a sudden you had to pick the normie badge, the
normie badge,
the third class passenger badge, if that's what you ended up with. Casey got the last one. Just want you to know that.
Exactly.
Yeah. That way.
Merry Christmas.
You can actually get, a good couple hundred people mad at you for your whole little vacation trip there to Adepticon.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that's a mini convention that's coming up in a couple months from this recording.
Yeah, which I'm definitely looking forward to. Last year was good. It was fun. And I think this year is going to be more fun.
Yeah, we'll report back. We'll let you know how it goes.
Oh, for sure.
I did see that there was an event for meet and greet with internet people, meet and greet with
really?
Content creators. Yeah,
I had
it was
idea.
sold out, and I was not invited. But I did hear that Lila Mev got invited. So maybe we can hang out outside the door or something and say hi to you as you go into the door. Hey,
that
we
got to
figure out where
odd,
it is,
right?
Yeah.
I know that there were a couple other people who were like, "Wait, what? There is?" Like people you would assume would be there.
We'll bring our folding chairs and we'll set up right outside the door and just kind of wave at people as they go into the cool folks room. Yeah,
exactly. That seems fine. I'm down with that. We'll just hang out.
Hi, nice to meet you. Man. Remember to paint bravely. Hi, nice to meet you. Remember to paint bravely.
That's a good idea. I like that. Maybe we should hand out really cheap looking business cards. It just says paint bravely and
crayon.
In crayon, or I was thinking Comic Sans or something. Just very basic.
Just the crudest chicken in a bucket diagram you could ever see.
Just stick figure.
A U with a terrible yellow stick figure inside with some sort of an orange beak on it.
Yeah, we can do this.
Well, start drawing now.
I know. I'm gonna have to draw thousands of them
next. Next episode, our hobby progress will be I drew 1,000 terrible business cards.
Exactly. It took me weeks.
What else is going on, Casey? Man. What else you got? What's
just since we're kind of in the same ballpark with the convention stuff, I did buy tickets to go to LVO this year. I'll be there for 1 day. Well, 2 days. I'm staying for one night. So the Saturday, Sunday, I'll be there. It's the last 2 days of the, I think 3 or 4 day convention. It's hardly a convention. It's a big tournament, but there is a vendor hall. And there's a bunch of people doing painting classes and all sorts of other stuff like that. So yeah, I live not that far away. So it was pretty inexpensive to just hop down for a night and come back the next day. So that's actually coming up in a couple weeks. It's 2 weeks from now. Yeah, that's soon.
Excited to hear about it, Casey. Make the rounds, make the most of that day. Tell us how it goes.
Should be good. I'm basically going to crash Scott and John's painting class.
Yep.
Just walk in and sit down and not leave.
Good luck.
Yeah, we'll see.
Good luck.
But yeah, I got that going on, and other than that, I've only been working on one actual thing for the hobby, and so far it's been some serious work. I've spent spent about $250 so far on this project. So, like a month ago, put out that video of that giant Stompa that I rescued off of eBay. Video did pretty good. A lot of people seemed a little disappointed that I did not use the receipt rolls, which I still don't quite understand, because realistically, it's just the receipt rolls.
They look like guns. You gotta hand it to them. The receipt rolls look exactly like DACA guns.
They're DACA guns. Yes, trash guns. Yeah. But I decided that I already had left it, first person that said that, I was like, oh, I kind of thought about doing the gun thing, whatever, but that's a lot of work, and maybe someday I'll find another one. Well, I just happened to find another one. And I also happened to be talking to the guy that created that original one, and he's given me all this background stuff on all of it, and where he got the receipt rolls and all this stuff. So it's I'm going to do a continuation of the story and then emphasize how actually difficult it would be, or is, and will be, to create that exact Stompa. I've spent over $100 on 3D printing resin, and I've gone through pretty much all of it at this point. That
is insane to me. That is a lot of printer resin. That makes me reevaluate
I've had two
how
printers
large.
Running for
how large is a Stompa? That's incredible.
It's big. I mean,
that's like an army of fully printed actual models. Is 2 liters of resin. That is an incredible. You can print large objects hollow, right, and save a little.
Oh, they're all hollow.
Oh my goodness,
everything is hollowed.
I'm really curious to see this Stompa project, Casey. You take your time with it and you make it look good. Especially if you're spending hundreds of dollars of resin.
The stupid thing is, what I've gotten out of it is, I don't feel it's worth that amount of money. It's great, right? It's all of the stuff looks really good. The files are really good. I contacted a company called Gear Guts Mech Shop. I assume probably a lot of people doing orc stuff, 3D printing, probably heard of it. They did the majority of the work on Mini Wargaming Dave.
Yep.
Is it his army, or is it actually that guy's army? I forget. But he showed off this massive. It was that guy's army, the owner of the company, right? Okay, yeah. Huge army that he showed off a while ago.
Dave,
and a lot of it was 3D printed.
Dave told me part of the story of that army, of all of these custom built, custom painted orcs that are in this beautiful yellow armor scheme. And apparently the guy lives, I can't remember what it was but 8 hours away from Dave, and so loaded up the van and drove to go see Dave. But he had so many orcs, it took 2 trips to bring all of the orcs over. I can't remember if it was actually an 8-hour drive, but it was at least 6. It was a long drive, and just you load up the van,
12 hours.
You put as many lads and Stompas and mech suits in the van as you possibly can. You hit the road. Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty insane. That's a lot of effort. But I mean, I wonder if he's ever had that army out on a showcase like that, on a bunch of tables in a big, nice open room that's themed,
Yeah.
So that's a good reason to do it, I guess.
Yeah.
That's so much work.
Yeah, so I think Dave, on the Mini Wargaming channel, they got an army showcase video that got a ton of views because it's awesome to look at. Mm-hmm. And I think they also did a big apocalypse game of I think Dave's Chaos versus these orcs. But
that makes sense because he's got a massive Chaos army.
Yeah, 2 insane road trips for 2 pretty sweet videos. So I guess it's worth it. And also plus a lifetime of painting and making orcs. So, hey.
Yeah.
And it's...
I mean, I don't want to judge or anything because I think it's worth
Where's this going? Yeah.
I think it's going to... What about U-Hauls?
Oh.
I couldn't just get a U-Haul trailer. It's like $100. You know what
Live
I mean?
and learn. Okay, well, let's imagine this. This is being all excited and packing up like the night before and realizing...
That's probably true, yeah.
But still, it's going to take like 2 days to make the second trip, so...
It's a whole 24 hours that, I mean, I don't know.
I haven't spent a ton of time in
enough.
Canada. Maybe they don't have U-Hauls. I don't know. It's a...
There are
lots of
assumption,
strange little differences up there.
Oh, they got A-Hauls.
Yeah. or maybe they have U-Hauls everywhere except Quebec or something, and just if you happen to be in
I don't know.
You know, awful province, it's just impossible to do anything good. I don't know. So
I don't know. Yeah. I'm just curious mostly because that would be like my go-to thing. It's like, man, these aren't going to fit in my car. We're better get a trailer. You know what I mean? Like,
we're problem solvers.
Unless he's
we're practical people. We tried it.
I feel like the driving 6 hours there, 6 hours back, 6 hours there. It's like that seems like the last option.
Hey, at least they weren't flying with 25 carry-on bags.
Yeah. You imagine the cost on checking all those bags.
You walk into the check-in area with just a train of baggage.
Yeah. Still, a massively impressive sight.
Yeah.
For sure. And I ended up talking to them, and then they're like, hey, we have like this list of recommended STLs that I think they thought would fit for this project. Because I was like, hey, I'll buy all the files. Like, I don't have a problem with that. It's not like I'm asking for free stuff. But I just want to know if some of these specific things, like some of the larger mechs that they have, had individual weapons that I could buy separately, or if they could cut them off for me and I would buy them as for whatever price they wanted. Mm-hmm. And it just so happened that they had recently, when I had emailed them, gone into those files, like specifically taken those weapons off and were about to put them on their store. So like 4 days after I talked to them, they put all of the things that I wanted and gave me a list in an email form of all the stuff that I was looking for. So it's super easy. I just thought I'd share that because they were like really nice about it.
Sweet.
So yeah. And the files have all been really nice to print out. They're not pre-supported or anything, but I haven't had almost any issues. Like, I've had a couple of failed prints and they're definitely my fault. Otherwise, like, everything's come out looking pretty sweet. So yeah, I've been literally
Mechs Workshop Mechs.
Yeah, Gear Guts Mech Workshop.
Gear Guts Mech Workshop.
Yes. I'll see. I'll try and remember to put a link. I can't promise anything, but I'll try. I'll probably remember now. Yeah. So like the last 3 days, the printers have not been shut off. They're shut off currently because I didn't want noise running in the back. You know, I didn't want to continue to print while we recorded. So they're off now, taking a bit of a break. There's a couple of finished prints on there too. I'm like, need to go clean those. But yeah, printing out just a stupid amount of really cool looking guns. Like I printed 40 or 50 little spears that I'm gonna kind of stick out and fill gaps with, and I've got a ton of pipes, all sorts of crazy orky looking pipes that are gonna go everywhere. It should be good, but all of this combined, and for what I'm actually doing, I've decided not to put out a video this upcoming weekend. Normally I would, and I haven't missed one in 4 years, 3 years, something like that. It's been a while.
Just re-upload this episode of Paint Bravely the podcast. I know you wanted to consume some sort of stupid content from me this week, so
right.
You go. Otherwise, wait 2 weeks and get a Stompa with hundreds of dollars of custom bits in it, and it'll be a good learning experience. You get to see what was worth it, what wasn't, and share that information with the rest of us.
That's kind of the idea, is because so many people, and I'm going to be one of those posting up all the comments on the screen like, okay, I get it. I get what you're asking. But like, here's what that looks like, right?
You could have saved like a lot of money if you just used receipt rolls for all the guns sticking out of the Stompa.
Oh, man.
There's an idea.
Think about that. That's such a good idea. I still have all of them, too.
Yeah?
And I'm thinking about putting one in there and like just covering it with a bunch of other stuff, but at least it's in there.
That'd be pretty good.
Because
or
then
just putting them all in the hollow of the model, you know, just filling up the innards.
Just filling it up.
They're in there.
I used all of them. They're in there. Yeah. If you peek just right, you can see that bright green poking out just a little bit.
Yeah. There's also the wrapper from a couple McDoubles in there, and like an old a couple of soggy old French fries, and fill it right up. The Orc way.
The Orc way. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, a lot of people are like, but that was so orky. And it's like, I get how you can think that. Yeah. But there's still receipt rolls.
You can also see that they're receipt rolls. Again, it's right. Terrain that's built out of beer bottles and beer cans. It's like, I see what you did there. I would recognize that anywhere. Yeah.
Right. But no, thank you.
Exactly.
Like, it's not for me. Yeah, I don't know. I am excited for that because like I got the body put together. I got the doors open in the front. You know, they look pretty good right now. I got everything else attached. You can kind of see it like up behind me a little bit somewhere over there.
I'm sure.
Yeah. So it's getting there.
Cool.
But I knew like as soon as I had started working on it, I took apart the model, started cleaning it and printing. It was like, man, it's like the first day in on my 2-week, journey to getting a video out. And I'm like, I'm not going to be able to finish this. And it was like the first day, you know, I called it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's literally what I've been working on.
Okay.
For a straight week. I've been staying up too, like stupid late. Just like, oh man, that print's finishing in like 3 hours. Let me just get up real quick, clean it, start curing it, start another one, and I'll go to sleep. So yeah, like almost literally nonstop printing.
It's good to have a project, but we've said it before, but printing alone can take up a ridiculous amount of time, and you gotta figure that into the cost of any project is how much time you spend setting up print runs, cleaning prints, curing prints, all that stuff. So
yeah, and I mean I've got, like I said, like multiple printers running, and I have like one of the cleaning stations or whatever, the cleaning curing station that actually helps speed things up quite a bit on that end of it. But man, like a failed print, so it's such a bad feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hate it so much.
All right.
But only a handful. Still going.
All right. Anyways. You'll get there. I got a little news. I actually played a game this week. So Ryan from Works Paint Shop invited me down to his place to play a game, and we played One Page Rules Age of Fantasy. So it was
cool.
A 3-way battle. It was actually 2 versus 1. We had 2 1,000-point armies against a 2,000-point army. So it was Rapmen from Charlie's Rapmen against my Havoc Warriors. So I used my Yellow Games Workshop, Age of Sigmar, Chaos Warriors, which have been sitting on my shelf for 2 years at least. And
yeah,
it was nice. I didn't have to buy a codex. I didn't have to deal with Battlescribe. Again, the one-page rules army builder tool is really nice. It's really nice, and you'll make your little army same as you would in Battlescribe, except it organizes everything, including the actual special rules that your units actually have, into a custom 1-page piece of paper that you print off and have the stats for the units that you actually have with special rules that are actually applicable to the units that you took. And it's nice. It's nice.
That is nice.
And yeah, so that's Age of Fantasy is similar in a lot of ways to other war games. It does have the alternating activation during each turn, so it went Ratmen activated a unit, Havoc Warriors activated a unit, Ratmen, and then Ryan was playing his Orcs, which I think are just called ORCS, Orcs. Cool.
Yeah.
I think that the models that Ryan was using were Games Workshop, mostly Iron Jaws models, or Black Orcs, or depending on what time you entered the
when you started
system. Yep.
Right. Yeah.
And of course, Charlie's Ratmen were plastic Skaven, but man, it is nice just to be able to print off a page of free rules and then a page of your actual army stats and go and
yeah.
Ryan did us the favor of reading all 8 of the pages of rules, and then Charlie and I just kind of refreshed the 1-page summary. But yeah, we were. I don't know if we were playing exactly the rules the way they were supposed to be played, but I think it was pretty close, and like the game flowed right along, and the alternating activations was a lot of fun because, they're taking their move, but you're like, okay, I go immediately after they are finished with what they're doing right now. And where's my best opportunity right now? Okay, there it is. It's none of this sitting back on your phone for 20 minutes and only responding when they hand you some save dice. None of that. Yeah. So that was actually pretty good. And the Ratmen eventually lost. The first couple of rounds were looking pretty even, but turn 3 went very, very bad for the Rat people. Hey, that's all right. That's all right.
I mean, some of those, I haven't played 1-page rules, but I mean, a lot of the times, like, Orcs in particular, it's like, they're so slow. I mean, depending. There's a lot of things, but then when they hit hard, right? And Rats are pretty soft.
There were some giant ogres and, like, monstrosities on this side.
Very nice. Very nice.
I still don't understand what a screaming bell is supposed to do. Like, I don't understand that unit at all. It's just it is a giant cart with a giant bell hanging off of it.
On it. Yeah.
And that's the unit. Like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
I got one of those, like, original ones in pewter.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Well, I gotta tell you, the rules, at least in the Age of Fantasy rule set, are pretty strong for that. And my Chaos Lord on Crackerjack, Karkadrak, in this case, my Havoc Lord on Demonic Mount.
Yeah. Crackerjack, yeah, right? Like, something similar.
Man, I like that model agnostic style, though. And
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, 1-page rules has model lines for some of the factions. They're growing and they're growing.
Yeah.
I don't think they have their own Chaos Warriors yet. I could be wrong. I don't think they do. Havoc Warriors. Pardon me.
Yeah, it's not coming to mind.
Pardon me.
They got this like Da Vinci things, but those are not like
they're
chaos,
humans.
Are they?
Yeah, they're armored humans.
Okay,
like
no, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's like the closest thing I can think of.
But hey, it's nice to have proxies, and most of the conversions are very obvious. Like the army lists from 1-page rules Age of Fantasy are comprehensive enough that you can find a use for most models. I took pretty much everything I had painted for my Chaos Warriors, and so I have Warriors, which are just Havoc Warriors. I had Knights, which are Havoc Knights. Chaos Knights equals Havoc Knights. Cool.
Yeah.
Chaos Lord equals Havoc Lord. But I also had a couple of the Warcry Chaos units. So I had the Ogroid Myrmidon, and I had the Fulmeroid Crusher, and they, those are deep into the Age of Sigmar army list. It's the Warcry models that happen to have stats in Age of Sigmar, and for those they didn't have a direct carryover. But again, there's units that kind of look right that you can just proxy in, and that's the whole point. So
That makes perfect sense.
My Ogroid Myrmidon, which is, a monstrous guy with big horns sticking out of his head. Yeah, that's a demon prince today.
So Havoc Beast. Yeah, there you go.
I can't remember. Demon Harbinger or something. I don't know. Like it was
right, not Prince,
not Demon Prince, and the not Demon Prince is supposedly equipped with a sword, and mine happened to have a spear, which is kind of like a sword on a stick. But yeah, there's my Havoc Harbinger. Cool.
Close
enough. And I used my Fomeroid Crusher as a giant or something. And
nice, yeah.
Man, it was thanks to Ryan, Orcs Paint Shop, for the invite there. Find him on YouTube or Twitch. It was nice to actually put that army to use, and also nice that I still have not bought a codex for Chaos Warriors in Age of Sigmar.
Well, don't you know that the brand new Slaves to Darkness codex comes out this week? Yeah. It's literally like this week. It's on pre-order right now. Just throwing it out there.
I don't know. If I'm at my local Crossroad Games and I feel the need to spend some money while I'm there, maybe.
Well, at least if you buy the book now, you're good for at least another year and a half or two. Well, so, yeah.
I mean, I've put off that purchase before. Like, I've seen the Slaves to Darkness book before, but I've seen it like halfway through the cycle, and I know, like, okay, how many games am I actually going to play in the next 8 months? Probably 0.
Exactly.
That's probably the answer, is probably 0. So. But maybe this time I will, and at least I will have one hardcover codex, army book, whatever they call them these days, for my Slaves to Darkness, my not Havoc Warriors, my off-brand Havoc Warriors.
Yeah, the off-brand. It's funny how that's off-brand, and it's like definitely the more expensive version. It's all Games Workshop plastic. I'm proxying those in, no big deal. I love it.
But yeah,
Battle Tome. That's what it's. Battle Tome.
Okay. Yeah, I believe it. That sounds right.
Yeah, Codex 40K Battle Tome.
If I ever buy one, I'll let you know what it says on the spine there.
They're like 3 feet in front of me. I got like 10 of them here. I'm just like trying to remember what they're called.
I mean, we talked in a recent episode about trying to get people into new games. And I gotta say that model agnostic games have such a lower barrier to entry, especially if they kind of theme their factions or whatever you want to call it around common model lines. Because
that makes sense. I mean, because you could print anything, you could buy stuff you like, you just throw it all together and call it whatever you want, as long as everybody agrees that that's what that is, right?
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that was pretty good. Got a game of Age of Fantasy in. My first game of Age of Fantasy, had a pretty good time there. Learned about it. Got my models off the shelf for the first time in a long time. Actually got to looking at those yellow Chaos Warriors. Like, man, I should finish up the 15 Chaos Knights, the Havoc Knights that have been sitting on my desk, more than half finished for 2 years now. Maybe I will.
You should. Yeah. You really should.
I'll let you know. How it goes. Yeah.
That's a whole new world, man. You got all of that stuff for one-page rules that you can now use, that you have seen. And the new codex came out, Battle Tome, whatever. I mean, you got the army. You still haven't finished like a full
Chaos. Yeah, it's their time. It's their time.
Yeah. And I mean, you're doing stuff with Army Painter, like Goobertown Yellow is on the table. Like, you got it there. You can do it.
So anyway, that's all that's going on with me. But are we ready to turn it over to the topic of the day here? We always get to chit chat.
I suppose. I know.
If we chit chat any longer, the episode's going to be over before we even get to the topic of the day. And the topic of the day is timely today.
It is timely because it happened today.
Yeah.
Today.
This is where you go for hot news, is Paint Bravely the podcast.
Yeah, hot news.
This is hot.
Only when it's stupid enough to be hot news. Like, Only when it's like, this is not good. We should talk about
Only
this.
Then.
This is stupid.
Only then.
Only then. So Wizards of the Coast decided that kobolds were no longer going to be involved. No, I'm totally kidding. Totally joking. But am I?
You could actually, I think you know more about this than I finish that sentence, because Wizards of the Coast's actions in the past week do have a severe impact on the company KOBOLD Press. So you could have made a completely accurate and topical sentence.
Statement, yeah.
You gave up too early, man. You should have finished it up.
You're right. Should have. I'm not gonna.
So
now there's no context.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll start over here.
Yeah.
This episode is a time capsule, as they all are. But on this day in history, for those of you listening at home, it was a big day in the little drama surrounding Wizards of the Coast, Hasbro, and Dungeons and Dragons, and kind of how they are dealing with third-party creators and third-party like companies that build off of the Dungeons and Dragons core rules. So
yeah,
feel free to correct me in the comments if I say anything wrong, but here's the basic gist, is that Dungeons and Dragons is a massively popular rule system. It's gone through several editions. We're currently on the 5th edition of Dungeons and Dragons. And in this edition, and I think the previous one, anyway, there's something called an open game license, which allows third parties to take the core rules of Dungeons and Dragons and add on to them and expand what you can do with that rule set. So,
like, write their own stories, modules, campaigns based on that set of core rules.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And essentially that's like a symbiotic relationship. The third party creators get the size of the community of Dungeons and Dragons, and by putting out more content for the core rules of Dungeons and Dragons, they grow the community that is aware of Dungeons and Dragons, that enjoys that rule system. And yeah, like at Gen Con, walking around at the massive vendor hall, a lot of the booths in that vendor hall are, RPG companies, and a lot of them are in one way or another selling accessories or modules or something that is intended for use with D&D. And essentially all of that activity was explicitly allowed in something called the Open Game License from Dungeons and Dragons, from Wizards of the Coast. And as part of it, seems like D&D's in 5th edition. It's been in 5th edition for like 10 years now. It seems like they're about to go into D&D 1. They're
it's something weird like that.
They're getting ready to cycle over into the next edition, and I don't think they're calling it 6th edition, but yeah, they're kind of getting ready to cycle into the next edition. And one of the things that's happening behind the scenes along with this is Wizards of the Coast was planning on changing the open game license to be much more restrictive, draconian, dystopian, not conducive to third parties doing what they do.
Yeah. Like they would be taking a cut of whatever any third party that they noticed was making.
Yeah.
Like I think that was one of the bigger things that people were concerned about, is all of a sudden like, oh yeah, we're just going to be, skimming off the top.
Yeah. So, sell your modules, but if you make over a certain amount, you owe us 25% of your revenue. And the stated like cutoff for that was a pretty high number, but still, the new Open Game License 1.1 is what was kind of being called. I think they've now changed that name and made a serious walk back. Today was the big walk back, and one of the reasons why we're talking about it today.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, so the community found out about this. Essentially, Wizards of the Coast started sending out this new version of the open gaming license, which is very different from the previous version, and essentially, tightening the grip on the community and creators in the community. Explicitly saying that anything that third parties create is now owned by Wizards of the Coast. If you create a module, that's designed to work with D&D, Wizards of the Coast can kind of say we own this now. And just it seemed like there was a lot of new shenanigans in there, which not very neighborly. And it has been interesting to see that over the past week, that new open gaming license was leaked. Kind of journalists, small like industry journalists, and then bigger and bigger journalists were like confirming that this is real. They really did send this out to people and try to get them to sign it. And it has been fascinating to see the community, the Dungeons and Dragons community, unite around not cool Wizards of the Coast, not cool.
Yeah.
So, Dungeons of the Dragons, is relevant to mini painting. Some D&D players paint minis. Some RPG players paint minis. We play role-playing games and we paint minis.
Yeah.
But also just in the broader category of tabletop games, I see it. Tabletop games includes RPGs, D&D being the biggest one. Card games of Magic, which is owned by Wizards of the Coast, being the biggest card game. Wargaming, Warhammer the biggest one. And then I guess you can include the board games in there with, Asmodee and Settlers of Catan, and you got all your Carcassonne expansions. Technically, Puerto Rico is in there somewhere. Much better. Citadels is in there. Yeah.
Right.
But in the industry of tabletop gaming, obviously, Wizards of the Coast is a big deal. And here on Paint Bravely, we almost covered something they did a month or two ago in the Magic realm.
Pretty close.
Yeah, we had it on our notes to cover what Magic, Wizards of the Coast, the Magic division, was doing for their 30th anniversary, and we didn't. But do you remember what that was all about, Casey?
Ripping people off hardcore, selling fake versions of really expensive cards for expensive, and then trying to get people to pre-order it. And like they put up the pre-order and then took it down like an hour later and just decided we're not going to talk about this because people were so pissed off that they were even trying to gouge people for this stuff. And that backfired pretty quickly. I've definitely heard that they didn't sell very many, and they're not going to be talking about that or admitting anything from that.
Right. But it all ties in, and so Wizards of the Coast,
coming out
Wizards
of
of the Coast, which is responsible for the major game in card games and the major game in RPGs, has been making moves and just stepping on rakes for both of the past 2 months. Yeah. And here on Paint Bravely, we're not going to shy away from that because that does affect all of us.
Yeah. I mean, think about it, right? Like if KOBOLD Talk were going to make a return, we'd have to give Wizards of the Coast like $10.
Or we would have to completely ignore an entire branch of KOBOLD history. We'd just be talking about Nordic folktales. We wouldn't even be able to talk about how they can evolve into full-blown mini dragons. Yeah, we wouldn't even be able to talk about the winged kobolds.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's just sad.
Yeah.
That's just sad, man. Like the fact that a company like Wizards has kind of been in like a decent place for a long time. In enough that they've created an open license for their game, right? It's like, because you don't need a lot to play this game. You buy a couple of books, that's about it.
Yeah.
You don't need anything else, right? So it's kind of amazing that they would even have the audacity to ask people or to try and force them to then give them some of their profits. It's like, look, I could call this something else, change the wording, and have my own freaking game. But since this is an open license and it's convenient, I can use it. Thank you.
We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been interesting because we'll start with Magic just because sequentially that happened first here.
Sure.
Magic had been on this money train of, 5+ years ago, they were just releasing, 3 sets a year or something like that.
If that, yeah.
But they were on a schedule though. I think it was 3 sets a year, and I think it was just like clockwork. Every 4 months there's a new set of cards. Everybody gets excited, goes to the pre-release tournaments, buys their booster boxes, updates their decks, and they just got to stay on that schedule, keep printing cards, and keep printing money. And over the past 5 years, they figured out, okay, we start selling some, starter decks in Walmart and Target. We start selling some commander decks in Walmart and Target. We start and like, okay, we're making more and more money. And then they start selling, okay, we're going to put Warhammer 40K in Magic. We're going to put the Walking Dead in Magic. We're going to put, hey, D&D in Magic cards. You can get some... Mm-hmm. You can get Drist the Magic card if you want. Actually, I need to look into KOBOLD Magic cards. That actually,
that's fair. We're gonna have to do some research at some point.
That'll be our business card. If we can buy a bunch of like 5-cent KOBOLDs, that'll be our business card.
I am 100% gonna look this up.
No, we're gonna forget. This is.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna forget. I'm gonna write this down. I have nothing to write with. My phone's gonna die.
Okay, we're not doing this.
Somebody remind me.
In the comments, remind us. KOBOLD business cards.
Please, just remind me. KOBOLD business cards.
But yeah, so Wizards of the Coast is owned by Hasbro, which is a publicly traded company, which has a stock price and a board of directors and people that have promised their investors that they're going to keep on increasing revenue and profits year after year after year. And they were figuring out that print more Magic cards, print more money, print more Magic cards, print more money. And I'm not deep into the history, but they kept doing like more and more ridiculous sets, and they finally went too far. Essentially, December of 2022 is when they finally they finally found the line that nobody was willing to put up with. Mm-hmm. And
$1,000 for what was it? 4 packs.
$1,000 for 4 packs. So 4 packs of 15 cards. And the cards were drawn from like, Magic cards that came out 30 years ago, but with the twist of course you can't actually reprint Black Lotus. That would be insane. So they weren't
right. It's on the reserved list for collectors, Yeah.
So they were reprinting some classic cards, but they got around the reserve list of cards that they said we will never print again by not making them real cards. So the back of the cards doesn't say Deckmaster on it. The back of the card is a picture of a Black Lotus. It is a proxy card. So they were selling 4 packs of 15 cards that are proxies and not actual cards, Magic cards. And for 4 packs, it was $1,000 And that was the point that the community was like, no more, no.
Right. Like, you're joking, right?
Yeah. And
because there was a good time in my life when like I was playing a lot of Magic, and a lot of it was at home, and there were a lot of cards that were like, man, I don't want to spend $200 or $300 or more on a Magic card. So Man, you go on eBay, you type in Tarmogoyf proxy, you can get a legit looking Tarmogoyf card. I mean, it's fake. It's like clearly, it's like a little fuzzy, but it's a nice looking card. Throw that in my at-home decks for testing, doing whatever. Not an issue for me. The fact that I could pay $2.50 for something like that on eBay, yeah. People have been doing it for a while. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Proxies.
So Wizards trying to sell proxies for $1,000 for 4 packs
of random
is absolutely insane. Yeah, random.
And they did give some of these packs away as part of a promotion and at a couple of events that they did. And so there were YouTube videos of people doing the pack openings of, let's see what I get of these theoretically $1,000 worth of cards here, and I'll open 4 packs representing $1,000 of MSRP. And yeah, nobody got a Black Lotus. Like, it was all like, oh, cool, I got a lightning bolt, and it's a proxy of a lightning bolt. Cool. Of
a thing I already have 100 of. That's
so
great.
Anyway, Wizards of the Coast, which is a company doing company things to try to maximize profits, found the limit of what nerds would put up with in terms of the money extraction schemes that they were trying to pull out on the nerds. And I was impressed. It actually was an important moment of history of like everybody finally saying like, no, this is dumb. Like, this is not only that this is dumb, but this is manipulative corporate greed to a ridiculous parody of itself.
Well, and trying to like somehow like what, somebody has a debt they need to pay, like you need to make a quick couple $100,000 or something off of people who are going to just buy them because they will.
Yeah, and
that's messed up.
And like you were saying earlier, Casey, like they didn't release the sales numbers, but from some leaks, people are pretty sure that this did not sell very well and good.
No. Yeah, it didn't sell that much, and then they pulled it, and like, because they said at some point they stated the number of stock that they were going to put up for sale, like it was limited somehow. But like then in the same turn, they're like, they shut down their website after like 2 hours or something.
30 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever, it's even worse, right? Half an hour. Like, it did not sell out because you don't see them anywhere. Yeah. They're literally not around. You cannot go buy these. Yeah. Like they're just not available anywhere. So people aren't trying to flip them or do anything weird.
Yeah.
Like, nobody bought them.
Yeah. But no, it's just an example. Like, for the Magic's 30th anniversary, and Magic has been a successful game for 30 years. I mean, highs and lows in there, but like, it has been a financially successful game for 30 years. It is a cash cow, and they found a way to break it. Like, they couldn't couldn't leave well enough alone and just rake in the money. They had to push it to the point where, like, just the value of Magic cards, people's interest in the game, people's interest in the speculation, and is very much up in the air right now. And there was a lot of real and justified anger at the company Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro over this. And at the time, in December of 2022, Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro had a little community chat where they basically had a live stream for the purposes of investors feeling better about their investment in Hasbro. And it was all corporate speak of like, hey, things are going great. People love Magic. The sales are on target. Like, we're printing cards and people are buying them, and just a bunch of happy talk. And in that conversation, one of the bean counters says, so Magic is doing great, and we're actually working on D&D right now. We think D&D is under monetized right now, and we've got some plans for making that more like a video game. And man, what a terrible thing to hear, because one of the nice things about D&D is you buy one set of dice, you buy the player's handbook, and you're good to go. And, I
pretty much,
I see from the company's point of view, like, you'd like them to spend a little bit more. So, okay, get the people interested. They'll buy the DM screen. They'll buy more dice. They'll buy the monster manual. You'll sell them, expansions, and there is more stuff that you can sell to them. But I can sort of see the point of Dungeons and Dragons does not require continuous investment the way that Magic does, the way that miniatures often do. Like people who are into Magic are always buying cards. People who are into minis, we're always buying minis and paints and that sort of stuff. So it is a continuing outflow of money from our wallets.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I mean, it's definitely true, but at the same time, right? Like, and I know they were targeting, DMs in general, because those are the people who spend money, right? They're looking at the whales, right? Trying to figure out how they can get every little bit of extra from them.
It is an interesting question of how do you monetize D&D more, because in some ways it's such a simple thing that it's easy. And so they did buy this third-party service, D&D Beyond, which is an online tool to help you run games online. And they gave that a subscription fee. So Wizards of the Coast bought D&D online. They gave that a subscription fee. So there's some influx of cash regularly. And there's, they're looking for ways to make money, but as part of that trying to monetize D&D more, they are changing the open gaming license. And it was a thing of beauty to see the unanimous anger and passion of that community say, no, not cool. Like major creators were there, small creators, the just regular players. Really, really great to see people be like, no, we like things the way they are. The community is what makes Dungeons and Dragons great. It's not the rule set. There are tons of rule sets out there. It is the community that makes D&D great. You don't stop trying to own what we create. Don't mess up a good thing.
I mean, because it literally could be any other system.
Yeah.
Like, it really could be. It's like you didn't invent the D20, right? Like, dodecahedron is a literal shape. I can put numbers on a shape and call it something and roll. You know what I mean? It's like you can do anything with that stuff. You can write all of the stuff that you want and change small things, call it something else, and it's the same thing. Like, they can't come after people for creating their own games. So it feels ridiculous to me that, like, because they recognize that in the past, and they're like, well, that makes sense. Here, let's just put this out there and people will still be using our stuff, right? Instead, let's change that and make it so we can make money off that and force people to have to learn a new system. It's like, well, they will, clearly. Because I saw a lot of tweets of people just like, I guess I'm not playing D&D anymore.
Yeah. And that is definitely something I want to jump into here and make sure we talk about. Quickly, before you hit submit on the comment that you're typing, look, we all know that a dodecahedron is a 12-sided polyhedron, and Casey meant to say an icosahedron when he was talking about a D20. So again, dodecahedron, D12, icosahedron, D20. We all learned something.
Is it though? Is it for real?
Yeah, look, I'm on Wikipedia here. Like I
mean, that's fine.
I heard you, and I did have to double check. I'm like, it's one or the other, 50-50. But we are a source of reputable geometric information here on Wikipedia. So, yeah.
Well, that's why you get paid the big bucks, Brent. You're the scientist.
Well, Matt gets paid.
Catch me out in my
Matt gets paid all of the
hedrons,
all of the Paint Bravely money, right? Don't use stiff Matt.
Yeah, basically.
We need him. I'm not editing these.
I know. Gosh, I pre-draw. Terrible working with this guy.
Okay, so but anyway, yeah, it was cool to see an entire community united behind something. So over in the world of minis, it's normally Games Workshop is the big company in the world of minis that has investors and a small little board of directors and share prices and does like company shenanigans to extract dollars and euros, and pounds, British sterling,
and Australian
dollar dues,
dollar bucks,
yes. Dollar bucks.
Yeah. I thought you were on a roll. I thought we were just Canadian turtles.
Well, we have to get back on Wikipedia nothing over here if we go to any more foreign currencies. French francs? Is that? No. I don't know. Doesn't matter. No. Going down a bad path.
French. Okay.
So the big
Rubles.
company in minis is Games Workshop. They're a company. Companies are not to be trusted. They're not your friends. They do things to extract money from you. That's the way it is. And Games Workshop frequently finds themselves in small and medium-sized controversies because of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't think I have ever seen the unanimous backlash against Games Workshop that we have seen against Wizards of the Coast in the past two occasions.
No. Yeah. I think that's true. I think as a overall, I think D&D and Magic is definitely a bigger audience, and certainly with bigger like YouTube channel followings that are based in that. You're talking like Critical Role and that that kind of thing. Yeah, right. But things like that, like so the community is probably larger in general. So like I think a lot more people are a lot angrier, especially when it's back to back, right?
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys.
So, I mean, anytime Games Workshop, does something greedy and makes a portion of the audience upset, there is always 10% of the audience there to defend Games Workshop, argue back, say like it's a company, they have to make profit, and as if that was an excuse for like. Yeah.
Right, for doing stupid shady things.
Like, yes, it's a company. We have low expectations, but like there should still be blowback when they do bad things. But anyway.
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah. But in this case, it's like 100%.
Okay, so for Magic 30, I saw on Twitter one guy defending Magic 30,
no.
And this is actually perfect. So this is why I want to tell the story. The one guy defending Magic 30. Was saying, what's the problem? It seems like a cool investment opportunity. This friggin' guy had an NFT monkey as their profile and an Elon purchased blue check mark on Twitter. What's the problem? Yeah, $1,000 for 4 packs. Money, you gotta spend big to live big. Like that's an investment opportunity.
That's right.
That guy did not carry the argument, but it was like a perfect example of like the one guy defending.
It's
like a NFT monkey, bro.
No problem. Yeah. That's not a good look.
But by the time, the 2022 turns into 2023 and a brand new year, moving on from Magic 30 into D&D and the open gaming license, all of a sudden nobody is defending Wizards of the Coast on that one. And so like big creators were saying no, not cool. This is not what we're in it for. You need the community more than the community needs you. A lot of the kind of medium-sized small and medium-sized companies were saying like, hey, we've got our own game system. We have or are making our own open gaming license because collaboration and community and gaming together is what this is all about, and is also profitable and smart and symbiotic. Yeah.
I mean, it makes perfect sense to have just a universal basic set of rules that like people can just pick up on. Yeah. I mean, because RPGs can be done. I mean, you could literally just have a conversation and not even roll dice and still play D&D.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you wander into a clearing and there is a kobold sitting on a log. What do you do?
That's another, like, you can change game systems in the middle of a game. Like, you can collect all of your players' character sheets and go home, and before you meet for the next time next week, you can translate those sheets into a different system, and it's still Lothar the Knight, but now strength.
But you're rolling
strength
against
becomes potence,
something else,
and it's fine.
Exactly,
it works.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. You change one word, and it's a different game, but it's not. So please stop trying to say that you own something that like wasn't created that way in the first place.
Yeah, and
so that's crazy.
It depends how you run your game, but like a lot of games of role playing don't involve that many throws of a dice.
That's
like
exactly.
It is easy to go through sessions depending on who your game master, dungeon master, storyteller is without rolling any dice. And it's just like, hey, what do you want to do? You want to talk to this guy? Oh, I don't think he's going to like that. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah. So a lot of these smaller companies, medium-sized companies are saying like, here, check out this rule set. We are much more in touch with the community. Most of them do not have boards of directors, investors, and Hasbro looking over their shoulder. And yeah, man, it's just... Magic was raking in so much money, and they found a way to rock the boat to the point where they screwed it up. I mean, D&D pulling in $100 million a year, which was probably low. Like they could find ways to boost that up, but again, they.
I mean, there are certainly better ways, right? Yeah. They could have just asked everybody, like, "Hey, if we were to do a bunch of things and sell a bunch of products and do like different kinds of books, or I don't know, easy to get into DMing, if we did all sort, like whatever it was, like what would that look like? What would you actually want?" People would have been like, "Oh man, like make 100 of these. I'll buy all of them."
Oh yeah.
They could have done it in such a different way if they wanted to make more money.
Yeah. But anyway, so there's been basically a week since it leaked that they were changing the open gaming license to something horrible. A lot of backlash, a lot of people canceling their subscription to D&D Beyond as the most obvious way to show that you're not happy with how things are going and that you are perfectly willing to game in a different way. And today that we're recording was the day that D&D finally put out a statement about what's going on. And
a statement.
It was lies. Like it was flat out lies. Like it was, the contract we sent to people and asked them to sign was just a rough draft, and we were sending it out for their feedback. And thank you for your feedback. This helps us like figure out how to build our community, and it's a win-win for everybody. And it's, man, like like there are some things that companies say that's just like, okay, that's obviously a lie. And I mean, in life, there are white lies where people just move on. Like, did you eat the last cookie? Nah, man, I don't know who ate the last cookie. Did you drink the last beer? I don't know. Beats me. There are white lies in life that just, make things easy and you move on from them. But like when the company Wizards of the Coast was putting people's livelihoods in serious jeopardy, was putting people's fun and their main hobby and the way that they hang out with their friends in serious jeopardy, and then just come out and lie about it and say that they were never trying to do that. No, the point was never to increase the monetization of their product, which they said last month.
There's literally like proof and steps leading up to this point. And then somebody leaked it for a reason, right?
That
generally that doesn't happen, you know? Like, unless there's a very good reason. Like, somebody's like, I need to let people know about this. It's not
that
good.
crosses boundaries, too. We've seen leaks from other companies that
they're so bad. Oh, my God. Literally every GW leak I've ever seen is like nothing. It's nothing. The fact that they're even concerned about it is kind of concerning in and of itself. It's like, are you really that? Does it fucking matter? Like, they're still gonna buy the book. They're not gonna be like, ooh, potato cam codex, yeah, free. Like, that's just not a thing. People are excited about it. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Games Workshop is now what's it called? Watermarking every PDF that they send out to creators.
Yes,
because
with their specific names on it, so it's unreadable.
Yeah, gotta make sure that those Space Dwarf stat lines don't leak ahead of Anyway,
because that
it don't matter. It don't matter.
Killing me.
But yeah, no, it was fascinating to see what it takes for a whole community to reach a breaking point all at once, to kind of demand action or backpedaling, and to seemingly have an effect. Because so D&D did come out today and say, like, no, that was never the intention, like, you'll see it's all good. And we have not seen a leak of whatever their updated version of the updated open gaming license is.
Well, yeah, they got to write it.
Yeah,
right?
they got to write it.
Or
yeah,
just,
they got to start
Control
back to the
Z
drawing
everything.
board.
It's get back to the yeah. You got to give them a minute. Come on.
Yeah,
now.
so
we know what's going on.
We'll see what actually happens, and whether I assume they will make things worse from what they previously had been, but not as bad as the huge quotation marks draft that they sent out, asked people to sign, and gave them a week to sign or else have their relationship revoked. But so that's been what's going on in gaming. And we wanted to talk about Magic 30 last month. We just never got around to it. But here we covered them both at once. And man, Wizards of the Coast making Games Workshop look good for at least a week here, and we'll see what happens next week.
At least a week. Yeah, literally.
Actually,
we'll see what happens next week.
We'll see what happens next week. Stay tuned. But
100%. Yeah. God. But see, okay, we'll talk about it.
Well, wonder if I was referring to anything there. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, sometimes with these companies and all the stuff, it's like, you're doing fine. Like even like before Magic started really upping everything and just like pumping out the sets, like I felt like the consistency, like whatever it was, if it's 3 times a year, like that felt like a lot to me.
Sure.
You know, and I was like fairly invested. And I get that like there are people who are really invested and it's like they're done with those cards. They've memorized everything. They've, worked out the system, right? They solved the puzzle and they want to move on. Yeah. But like at this rate, man, I just had to give up. I'm like, look, like I spend money on a hobby, but like now I actually have to pick.
Oh yeah.
Which hobby. I can't just do like more than one now. And I mean, I play Games Workshop games. Spend a lot of money. I just told you I spent like $250 on this stupid ass mech Stompa. Right? So I don't have a problem with that, but like, man, it just feels so, it's such a feel bad thing because I really like Magic. And it's just, it doesn't feel good anymore. And I don't know. It doesn't feel like they're putting the effort in, right? Like, cause before, man, every set was awesome. Like every set had a great theme. Like, I don't know, things were good.
Yeah.
Now it's just gone downhill. It's sad.
Yeah. But it also is an opportunity for these smaller companies. And we talked about what it takes to get people interested in a new game. There has been a flurry of activity of people asking about alternative game systems. And silver lining, like a massive silver lining, is that, It for a long time it was hard to get people to do anything other than D&D. It's just like that's what they know. It's easy to deal with. But again, if you're role playing, you probably don't need to roll that many dice. Even if you do, you can do it in a very simplistic way. You don't have to I don't know, min max and focus on making sure that a 17 is a success instead of an 18. Like you don't have to play it that hard. Just role play, do things that seem like they make sense, roll the die, and let your game master do the actual math for you and let you know if it worked or not.
Right.
I mean, I've definitely played games where I'm not even looking at my character sheet. Like, hey, my character wants to do this. I'm gonna roll a die. I got a 12. Am I good or not? Like, are you strong? Yeah, I'm pretty strong.
You're like,
like reasonably
15, reasonable. Whatever you want to say. But I mean, that's the thing. Like, I do feel like a good DM is kind of making those decisions on the fly, anyways. And it's like, well, this sounds like it'd be pretty rad. So yeah, do that.
Yeah,
that's good.
But
because like, oh, I mean, I get that sometimes like missing it by one number is like a cool dramatic moment.
Yeah.
Right. But like, let those moments be those moments, and otherwise, let fun be fun.
Yeah.
And you definitely don't need like D&D 5e to do that specifically.
Right. There are some game systems that are easier to switch in between, but I mean, even if you're playing with minis, like RPGs are the ultimate miniature agnostic game. Like your little knight model is going to work just as well in D&D as it does in Pathfinder, as it does in heck, half of the time.
And so maps and the terrain
Vampire
and
Dark Ages, you get your maybe even Call of Cthulhu if you got like a little fantasy era of Call of Cthulhu. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know. It depends what you're into. I mean, I guess the one thing that we can take away is that I suppose that there is a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, maybe. Like, depending on how they handle it, of course. But this is a turning point for Wizards of the Coast in general. And I mean, I do hope that like Games Workshop is looking, and I have to imagine they are, because why wouldn't you? But like, they could turn this around, and they could double down on like, no, open source is open, and that's what it is. And I don't know, just turn it around. We don't know what's going to happen. I honestly have to hope for that, because certainly hate for it to just like go away.
Yeah.
That it necessarily will, but
yeah. I think that's why we're making this the topic of the day, because it does feel like an inflection point. Like, this does feel like a bigger community activation than we normally see, and a company at least recognizing that it is a large enough wave that they are kind of responding to it. We'll see what the end result ends up being, but either D&D will stick with an actual open gaming license, or people will get excited about an alternative open gaming license. I mean, Piezo's making a system that's being joined by a bunch of other companies, I think including KOBOLD Press.
I think so, and it is open, OGL, right? That's actually what they're calling it.
And like a lot of other game companies are putting out game systems that and we'll see what ends up becoming popular. But I just encourage all of you, like, if your friends are interested in playing any sort of RPG, I really think it is pretty easy to switch between them. The real skills in an RPG are just being creative and thinking about what your character would do and what would be fun to do. And I mean, every game is going to have a different list of spells or whatever, but just think about what you want to do. You don't need to get too focused on that. I mean, hey, I like telekinesis or whatever. Prestidigitation, I think that's pretty cool, but
that's a good, I do like that. That's a good
but whether you're rolling a D6 or an icosahedron, dodecahedron, decahedron, whatever you're rolling, octahedron.
I swear. I thought that for
octahedron with
20 years.
Proprietary little Star Wars symbols on them. Whatever it is. Like,
yeah. 20 years, man.
Learn something new every day. That's what we're here
Literally.
for.
Yeah. I have to look that up just to make sure you're not making fun of me.
Well, on that note.
Yeah. Thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you.
All of you guys. We appreciate all of you. The heck out of you.
We really do. We will talk to you next time.
See you next time.